line 586. I'll read to the end of the canto. So this is the man of might, who's so proud of his achievements, but he also has his limitations. I can foresee the acts of matter's force, but not the march of the destiny of man. He is driven upon paths he did not choose. He falls, trampled underneath the rolling wheels. My great philosophies are a reasoned guess. The mystic heavens that claim the human soul are a charlatanism of the imagining brain. All is a speculation or a dream. In the end, the world itself becomes a doubt. The infinitesimal's jest mocks mass and shape. A laugh peals from the infinite's finite mass. Perhaps the world is an error of our sight, a trick repeated in each flash of sense. An unreal mind hallucinates the soul with a stress vision of false reality. Or a dance of Maya veils the void unborn. Even if a greater consciousness I could reach, what profit is it then for thought to win a real which is forever ineffable, or hunt to its lair the bodiless self, or make the unknowable the target of the soul? Nay, let me work within my mortal bounds, not live beyond life, nor think beyond the mind. Our smallness saves us from the infinite. In a frozen grandeur, lone and desolate, call me not to die the great eternal death, left naked of my own humanity in the still vast of the Spirit's boundlessness. Each creature by its nature's limits lives, and how can one evade his native fate? Human I am, human let me remain, till in the inconscient I fall dumb and sleep. A high insanity, a chimera is this, to think that God lives hidden in the clay, and that eternal truth can dwell in time and call to her to save ourself and world. How can man grow immortal and divine, transmuting the very stuff of which he is made? This wizard gods may dream, not thinking men. And Savitri heard the voice, the warped answer heard. and turning to her being of light, she spoke. Madonna of light, Mother of joy and peace, thou art a portion of myself put forth to raise the spirit to its forgotten heights and wake the soul by touches of the heavens. Because thou art, the soul draws near to God. Because thou art, love grows in spite of hate, and knowledge walks unslain in the pit of night. But not by showering heaven's golden rain upon the intellect's hard and rocky soil can the tree of paradise flower on earthly ground, and the bird of paradise sit upon life's boughs, and the winds of paradise visit mortal air. Even if thou rain down intuition's rays, the mind of man will think it earth's own gleam, his spirit by spiritual ego sink, or his soul dream shut in sainthood's brilliant cell, where only a bright shadow of God can come. His hunger for the eternal thou must nurse, and fill his yearning heart with heaven's fire, and bring God down into his body and life. One day I will return, his hand in mine, and thou shalt see the face of the Absolute. Then shall the holy marriage be achieved. Then shall the divine family be born. There shall be light and peace in all the worlds. Starting this side here.
I can foresee the acts of matter's force, but not the march of the destiny of man. He is driven upon paths he did not choose. He falls trampled underneath the rolling wheels.
So it's true, by the use of the reason, human beings are able to foresee what material forces will do. They are even able to predict the future of our universe. Whether it will work out exactly like that or not, we don't know, but following the rules of material force, these calculations have been made. No? But what they cannot predict is the march of the destiny of man. We don't know how that is going to work out. Because in the destiny of man, there's something more than just material force. There are other forces at work. No? So human beings are driven upon paths we didn't choose, didn't expect, and unexpectedly we fall, trampled underneath the rolling wheels, the wheels of fate, destiny, karma. Disasters happen that we didn't think that we deserved. Trampled. If somebody puts their feet on you and stamps on you, often it's used of horses. You know, if you fall down and a horse tramples you, or a bull or something. You know. But here it's as if there's the kind of chariot. Actually, perhaps we can have the picture of the chariot of necessity. And that's drawn by griffins. So then the wheels of the chariot of necessity, we get crushed beneath them. Ati?
My great philosophies are a recent guess. The mystic heavens that claim the human soul are charlatanism of the imagining brain. All is a speculation or a dream.
So there are great thinkers who have formed in the past and still try to form great philosophies that explain our life on earth, our place in the universe. But we can never be sure about those philosophies. They are just a guess, a theory, a hypothesis, which is supported by the reason. The philosophers find good reasons why this or that theory is the correct one. They are reasoned guesses. And our religions tell us about wonderful heavens, which are the home of the human soul. But to this man of knowledge, these are just fakes, a charlatanism. A charlatan is a person who in a market sells you fake stuff. This will cure everything. A charlatan, a pretender. And who is the charlatan who convinces us that one day we will go to heaven? It's our own imagining brain. In fact, everything, all our knowledge, is either a speculation, a reasoned guess, or it's a dream, a fantasy. Suresh?
In the end, the world itself becomes a truth.
A doubt.
The infinite,
Infinitesimal.
infinitesimal, just mass and shape. A law fails from the infinity mask.
Finite mask. The infinite, finite mask.
Finite mask.
Yeah, this is one of these things about English spelling. When it says infinite, we pronounce it finite. And when it stands by itself, we pronounce it finite. I can't explain why. It's just like that. So this is the state now that the physicists have come to. There's a doubt whether all this matter, which seems so real and solid to us, whether it really exists or not. Because when they go down to the infinitesimal level, to the level of the infinitely small, they say that every atom which makes up this matter is 99.9% empty space. there's nothing there. So how is it that all this feels so solid and real to us? This joke of the infinitesimal, of the infinitely small, it just makes fun of our perceptions of mass, weight, and form. They are just tricks. Berber.
Perhaps the word is an error of our sight, a trick repeated in each flash of sense. An unreal mind hallucinates of the soul, with a stress vision of false reality.
Yes.
Or a dance of Maya,
Yes.
veils the void unborn.
Yes. So perhaps the way we perceive the world is just a mistake of our brain, an error of our way of seeing and perceiving. Nowadays we watch films, cinema films, and these are actually a series of pictures. But because they move faster than our vision does, we see a continuous movement. It's an error of our sight. Our senses are receiving little flashes of picture, of vision, of sense impressions. It's not continuous. So this trick, this illusion, is repeated in each of these flashes. Each of them gives a stress vision. It points on a moment of a reality. So it gives us the impression of a false reality. Some people think that everything is coming into existence like that in flashes. But it's more likely that that's just the way we perceive it. And our perceptions give us a continuous picture. Although in the case of a man-made cinema film, it's in fact a series of images. So our mind is not really real. There's something unreal about it. And it convinces the existence of a soul, and if we have a soul, it gives it this false vision. A false vision is a hallucination, no? With this stress vision, again and again, little points of a false reality, a reality that is other than the way that we experience it. Or maybe it's something else. It's like if a person makes very quick movements, again, because of the way we see things. So in a dance, we may have the illusion of many arms or many legs, the dance of Maya. And all this movement is veiling the emptiness, the unborn, which is void and empty.
The way it is given as stress vision, I believe the mind hallucinates, but its stress vision means...
I think the way I'm understanding it is that each little flash of vision that we have places a stress on a particular moment that we see. But somehow the mind stitches all that together and gives us a picture that we think is real. But it's a succession of passing images that are maybe hallucinations even.
But Shraddhavan said we need not vision but action also in the matter. But When you receive some message, peace, with peace, for me is like a discrimination. No?
Yes, here Sri Aurobindo is not just talking about how things really are. He's putting into the words of this man of knowledge the way that the reasoning mind perceives things, or the physical mind perceives things. Yeah. And as a conclusion, then Bhavana, this man of knowledge says, what does he say?
Even if a greater consciousness I could reach, what profit is it then for thought to win? A real which is forever ineffable, or hunt to its land the bodiless self or me, the unknowable, the target of the soul.
What use is it for human beings, for thinking human beings, to try to grasp, or even maybe to grasp, a real which can never be expressed or communicated? Or if we try to go back to our source, hunt to its lair. The lair is the den of an animal. And a hunter will try to hunt the animal to its lair. There he can catch it easily in the place where it's resting. No? So perhaps what the yogis try to do is they try to hunt the bodiless self to its own home. No? But what is the use of that? No? Since it anyway doesn't have a body. And why make the unknowable, something that can't ever be known, why to make that the goal, the target that the soul is aiming for? What sense does that make, he asks. And instead, he takes a different position. Ganga Lakshmi.
Nay, let me walk within my mortal bounds, not live beyond life, not think beyond the mind, or smallness saves us from the infinite.
So he decides to remain small. Let me stay within my limits. Let me work within my mortal boundaries. Don't ask me to live beyond life or think beyond the mind. This smallness saves us from that infinite vastness in which perhaps we would get lost. I think in the next sentence he's describing the infinite, Mahalingam, or the infinite as it appears perhaps to the human mind.
In the frozen grandeur, lone and desolate, call me not to die in the great eternal death, left naked of my own humanity, the chill vast of the spirit's boundlessness.
Some people think of merging back into the one like that, no? Getting dissolved into outer space somehow. A frozen grandeur, cold, lone, desolate, empty. No? Don't call me, don't ask me to die that eternal death. Left naked of my own humanity, stripped of this familiar smallness. In the chill, cold vastness of the boundlessness of the spirit. Perhaps it's quite a frightening prospect to our body and our life parts, and even the mind. One more.
And how can one ever fascinating fate? Human, I am human, let me remind, till in the inconscient I fall down and sleep.
Yes, First line, each creature by its nature's limits lives. That is true. Our individuality is formed by our limits, our limitations. Yeah? So each creature lives by its own limits, and each of us has their own fate that's born with us or born in us. So how can you escape that? To evade means to escape. He says, I'm human. Let me remain human till I fall speechless, I fall asleep in the inconscient, until I melt back into matter. Joel.
A high insanity, a chimera is this, to think that God lives hidden in the clay, and that eternal truth can dwell in time, and call to her to save ourselves and world.
It's a madness, a high form of madness, a chimera, a complete fantasy. Chimera is a Greek word. It's the name for an impossible animal. I'm forgetting now what it looks like, but it's a composite animal. It's put together with different things. I'm forgetting what it is, but it's an impossible animal, an animal that never could live. So in English, the word has come to mean a fantasy, an impossible fantasy that can never be realized. To think that God, that the divine, lives in the clay of the human body, in the clay of the earth. And it's an insanity and a chimera to think that eternal truth can live, can dwell in time. Here in time and space, we're in a world of illusion and uncertainty and doubt. How can eternal truth live here? And it's madness to call to truth to come and save us ourselves, to save the world. Venkat?
How can man grow immortal and divine, transmuting the very stuff of which he is made? This wizard gods may dream, not thinking men.
Yes. What a crazy idea to think that human beings can be immortal, live forever, that we can become divine. We're made of this stuff that would need to be transmuted. It would need to be changed completely. The very stuff of which we are made. Then we wouldn't be men anymore. He says, wizard gods who can do miracles, who can do anything, magic, they can think like that, but not thinking human beings. We cannot think like that. Certainly we find it very difficult to think like that. Alice, will you read?
Which line is it?
Line 625.
And Savitri heard the voice. The warped answer heard, and turning to her being of light, she spoke. Madonna of light, mother of joy and peace, thou art a portion of myself, put forth to raise the spirit to its forgotten heights and wake the soul at touches of the heavens.
Yes. So Savitri, it's the same pattern we've seen throughout the canto. She listens to the voice of the Madonna of light, and then she hears the warped echo which comes from the lower human nature. but she doesn't answer that echo. She speaks to her own being of light, her own soul power. And she addresses her as Madonna of light, of higher consciousness, of knowledge, mother of joy and peace. The Madonna had claimed, I am thy secret soul. But here she says, you are a portion, a part of my soul that has been put forth, it's been put out into the world to raise, to lift up the spirit to its forgotten heights, those higher levels of consciousness from which it has entered into the manifestation and then forgotten where it came from. So we have to lift the spirit up again to those forgotten heights from where it came. And it's your job, your mission, to wake up the soul by touches of the heavens. The soul that's sleeping in the material body needs, through the experiences of life, to get woken up. And especially it gets woken up by the touch, the influence, the pressure of things coming from higher levels of consciousness. Sergei.
Because thou art, the soul draws near to God. Because thou art, love grows in spite of hate. That knowledge walks unslain in the pit of night.
Yes. Because thou art, because you exist. The soul, the human soul, does progress, it does draw nearer to God. And because you exist, because you are here, love continues to grow and to increase in spite of all the powers of hatred that are in the world. And knowledge walks unslain in the pit of night, in this dark abyss of unconsciousness and more than ignorance, unconsciousness. Still, knowledge walks, it can't be killed by the darkness, and it gradually spreads its light. That's all because of your influence, the influence of the Mother of Light. That is a power of the soul of the world.
But not by showering heaven's golden rain upon the intellect's hard and rocky soil can the tree of paradise flower on earthly ground, and the bird of paradise sit upon life's boughs, and the winds of paradise visit mortal air.
It's interesting what she tells her. No, it's not by pouring down intuition onto this hard and rocky soil of the human intellect that the transformation can come about. She expresses the transformation in three beautiful images. The tree of paradise. The tree is a symbol of life, the blossoming of life, no? And the bird of paradise sit upon life's boughs. I think the bird is always a symbol of the soul. The paradise bird sitting on the boughs of the tree of life. And the winds of paradise visit mortal air, the atmosphere, the divine ether mingle with this air of mortality that's here upon earth. Something else is needed to bring about this transformation. Yes.
Even if thou rain down intuition raise, the mind of man
when he urged on belief, his spirit by spiritual ever sing, or his soul dream shut is sainthood's brilliant cell, where only a bright shadow of God can come.
Yes. If you pour down intuition so that people, men, get more and more intuitive, even if you do that, the human mind, the mind of this man of knowledge, will just think, oh, that's natural. Of course it's like that. No? And he will feel very superior and proud of himself. So instead of that opening him to the higher influence, it will weigh down his soul, his spirit, by spiritual ego. That's the most dangerous form of ego, when we begin to think that we are very, very special beings. Or something else that happens, people aim to become perfectly good, to become saints. But becoming a saint, Aurobindo says, is a very limiting thing. A cell. Here it doesn't mean a cell of the body, it means a cell where somebody lives. A prisoner lives in a cell, a monk or a nun may live in a cell, a small, simple room, very, very bare. No? That limits them. He says, into that cell of sainthood, of feeling that you are a saint, or trying even to be a saint, it's a very limiting thing. And into that state, only a bright shadow of God can come. It's even the shadow of God is bright, and people who reach that state of sainthood, they may have wonderful experiences. But as far as the life of the world is concerned, their sphere of influence and their experience is very limited. So what is the solution? Savitri says, his hunger for the eternal thou must nurse, and fill his yearning heart with heaven's fire, and bring God down into his body and life. This is the mission which she gives to her being of light, that this is what you must do. You must nurse and nourish the human being's hunger and thirst for what is eternal and real and infinite. And fill his yearning heart. The heart of the human being is always yearning for something. But if we would recognize that what we are really yearning for is something much higher and truer and more valuable. So instead, she should try to fill the human heart with the heavenly fire of aspiration, and find a way to bring God down, the divine down into the life and the body of human beings. So that's what she wants her being of light to do. And she makes a promise. She says, one day I will return. She has said this to each of the Madonnas, no? Now I'm on the way. When I have fulfilled my mission, I will come back. His hand, God's hand in mine. And then I will show you, you will see the face of the Absolute, the true face of the Divine. Then shall the holy marriage be achieved. I think it is the marriage between spirit and matter, between heaven and earth, between nature and soul. And then the divine family will be born here on earth. All the children of the divine, living a divine life on the earth. There shall be light and peace in all the worlds.
But in all the worlds means not only this yet everywhere.
This will be the fulfillment. No? There's some places where Aurobindo, in the poem where Aurobindo really somehow tells us that this is the mission of humanity, to bring about this change. So the soul powers have to help humanity to do that, to fulfill our task. So these are the essential things: the hunger for the eternal, the aspiration, the burning aspiration for a diviner state, and the bringing down of the divine powers into body and life, not being content to be just up here in sainthood's brilliant cell, or just being a big spiritual ego, thinking you're better than everybody else.
Man has to do it, or it will be done for him.
We have to participate in it. We have to participate. Of course, Mother says nothing depends on man. It will all be done. But at the end, in Canto 11, Book 11, we shall see that Aurobindo says, human beings have something to do, but if they don't do it, somebody will come and do it anyway. No? But it's our privilege.
The thing has to depend upon man's effort.
No, if everything depended upon man's effort, then it probably wouldn't happen. Fortunately, it doesn't. I think it was Prem Malik in the early days of Auroville asked Mother, does it depend on us? And Mother said, fortunately not. Therefore one can laugh, she said. But something in us has accepted to be born as human beings, to be born in this evolutionary material world with a mission. No? We've agreed for a reason, and we will feel very sorry if we don't fulfill that mission and that aim, if we miss our opportunity. I can foresee the acts of matter's force, but not the march of the destiny of man. He is driven upon paths he did not choose. He falls, trampled underneath the rolling wheels. My great philosophies are a reasoned guess. The mystic heavens that claim the human soul are a charlatanism of the imagining brain. All is a speculation or a dream. In the end, the world itself becomes a doubt. The infinitesimal's jest mocks mass and shape. A laugh peals from the infinite's finite mask. Perhaps the world is an error of our sight, a trick repeated in each flash of sense. An unreal mind hallucinates the soul with a stress vision of false reality, or a dance of Maya veils the void unborn. Even if a greater consciousness I could reach, what profit is it then for thought to win a real which is forever ineffable, or hunt to its lair the bodiless self, or make the unknowable the target of the soul? Nay, let me work within my mortal bounds, not live beyond life, nor think beyond the mind. Our smallness saves us from the infinite. In a frozen grandeur, lone and desolate, call me not to die the great eternal death, left naked of my own humanity in the chill vast of the spirit's boundlessness. Each creature by its nature's limits lives, and how can one evade his native fate? Human I am, human let me remain, till in the inconscient I fall dumb and sleep. A high insanity, a chimera is this, to think that God lives hidden in the clay, and that eternal truth can dwell in time, and call to her to save our self and world. How can man grow immortal and divine, transmuting the very stuff of which he is made? This wizard gods may dream, not thinking men. And Savitri heard the voice, the warped answer heard, and turning to her being of light, she spoke. Madonna of light, mother of joy and peace, thou art a portion of myself put forth to raise the spirit to its forgotten heights, and wake the soul by touches of the heavens. Because thou art, the soul draws near to God. Because thou art, love grows in spite of hate, and knowledge walks unslain in the pit of night. But not by showering heaven's golden rain upon the intellect's hard and rocky soil can the tree of paradise flower on earthly ground, and the bird of paradise sit upon life's boughs, and the winds of paradise visit mortal air. Even if thou rain down intuition's rays, the mind of man will think it earth's own gleam. His spirit by spiritual ego sink, or his soul dream shut in sainthood's brilliant cell, where only a bright shadow of God can come. His hunger for the eternal thou must nurse, and fill his yearning heart with heaven's fire, and bring God down into his body and life. One day I will return, his hand in mine, and thou shalt see the face of the Absolute. Then shall the holy marriage be achieved. Then shall the divine family be born. There shall be light and peace in all the worlds.